Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Thursday, January 11th, 2024. Welcome to day 1087. Donald Trump defied the judge presiding over his $370 million civil fraud trial and delivered a brief courtroom speech claiming that he's an innocent man and that the lawsuit brought by the New York Attorney General's office is a fraud on me. Judge Arthur Engoron had previously denied Trump's request to give his own closing statement because Trump would not agree to refrain from personal attacks. Still, Trump's attorney asked the judge to allow Trump to speak for 2 to 3 minutes during closing arguments. The judge then asked Trump if he would agree to stick to case-related subjects, which prompted Trump to begin his diatribe. For roughly 5 minutes, Trump claimed that New York Attorney General Letitia James hates Trump and uses Trump to get elected, and that the case was a political witch hunt. He also demanded that prosecutors pay me for what I've gone through, and then he went after the judge, saying, "You have your own agenda. You can't listen for more than 1 minute." The judge then told Trump's attorney, "Control your client," but the attorney did not appear to make any effort to do so. The trial has now concluded, and the judge says he plans to issue his ruling later this month. Letitia James has asked the judge to impose $370 million in penalties and to permanently bar Trump from running a business in New York. Hours before the trial's final day began, police responded to a swatting incident at the judge's home. The bomb squad was called to investigate, but nothing was found. Moving on, South Africa formally accused Israel of committing genocide in Gaza. South Africa called on the International Court of Justice to order Israel to immediately suspend its continuous bombing of the Gaza Strip, where more than 23,400 people have now been killed since the war began. More than 59,600 have been injured, and thousands more are missing and presumed dead. South Africa condemned Hamas's attacks, but said nothing could justify Israel's response. Lawyers representing South Africa argued that Israel's military campaign was intended to bring about the destruction of the Palestinian people, noting that comments by Israeli leaders, such as calling Palestinians human animals, and their actions, such as imposing a complete siege on the Gaza Strip, signaled genocidal intent. Israel dismissed the accusation as absurd blood libel, atrocious and preposterous, and called the case one of the greatest shows of hypocrisy in history. The court is expected to rule on South Africa's request to stop the bombing in Gaza within weeks, but a verdict on the question of genocide could take years. While the court's rulings are legally binding, enforcement can be difficult. Back in the United States, the House Freedom Caucus continued to hold the chamber hostage while pressuring Speaker Mike Johnson to renege on a bipartisan spending deal meant to avoid a government shutdown. Yesterday, members of the far-right group and their allies revolted against the deal, openly criticized Johnson, and blocked a procedural vote on an unrelated bill in protest over the $1.6 trillion bipartisan spending deal. The group is demanding that the top-line budget number be at least $70 billion less and include new border security funding. Some of the frustrated, more moderate Republicans and appropriators are calling on Johnson to stick to the plan and punish the conservatives. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, meanwhile, says he plans to introduce a short-term stopgap spending plan in order to give Congress more time to work out the details of the bipartisan agreement. And finally, the Pentagon failed to properly track $1 billion worth of military equipment it sent to Ukraine for its defense against Russia. This, according to a report by the Defense Department's Inspector General. The report, however, offered no evidence that any of the items, including night vision devices, air defense missiles, anti-tank missiles, launch equipment, and kamikaze drones, have been misused or stolen. The new report comes as Congress debates whether to authorize a supplemental package of more than $60 billion in aid for Ukraine amid significant Republican opposition. And before we go, it's a different kind of WTF called, Well, That's Fantastic. Some good news before we go away for the weekend. First up, U.S. carbon emissions shrank in 2023 for the first time since the coronavirus pandemic. The world's capacity to generate renewable electricity also grew by 50% in 2023, the fastest rate in the past 25 years. U.S. battery storage capacity could double in 2024 if all of the planned energy storage systems are brought online on schedule. And the Biden administration announced $623 million in grants to support electric vehicle charging infrastructure across the country. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefuckjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditis.